Okay, so to find the available internships, you would navigate to our, again, the internship page, be an intern. And then there's a lot of different resources that this page links to, but for now, we're going to go down to the browse internships page. And it starts out by showing you everything available, but you can filter based on either disciplines, like I was just talking about. So here it'll show you these different disciplines that positions are tagged with, or you can filter by location, and then the different locations will pop up. So we can put Corvallis here. And then I'm going to ignore the map for now and just scroll down to these brief position summaries. So our two main locations in the Corvallis area are Oregon State and HP. And so, for example, this internship at OSU is in a lab that studies tree biotechnology. And some of these do have a minimum age, but if there's no minimum age listed, that means that as long as you're in 9th, 10th, or 11th grade, you are eligible to apply. All right, I'm going to flip back. We'll come back to the website a little bit later. So some of the benefits of doing an ASE internship are, of course, first, the ability to get this in-depth career exploration. This pic is showing Sergio, who worked for the Bonneville Power Administration in 2015. And he had said that he really felt that working with BPA gave him a chance to learn more of what the real world really feels like, compared to, being in school, obviously. And it also helps develop certain skills that you wouldn't get in school, and is a good way to try out a certain field if you think you're interested in it. One kind of downs, when you go to college, you end up choosing a major, and you might choose a major without really having actually tried out working in that field before. And then you could graduate from college and realize down the line that you actually don't really want to have a job in that area, right? So this is a nice way to try it out before even deciding what you're going to major in college. All right. So another reason it's nice to try out a work experience before you get too deep in studying a certain field is because you might just not really know about the various options. So for example, Alex originally thought that he wanted to work in software designing, but then after his internship at IBM, he said that this internship had helped focus him in his future goals, is not as interested in the software side anymore and more interested in the computer hardware or engineering side. So that's a pretty big difference when it comes to what types of skills that you need to learn in order to do either of those jobs. So they're both computer science, but really different approaches. And so you might not know right now what you're most interested in, and this is just a good way to try that out. All right, so if you get an internship, you will then have the chance to work really closely with a mentor at a certain organization, and you'll contribute to one of the projects that they're working on. And many of these mentors are experts in their fields. They're, some of them are world-renowned scientists. And so it is a really amazing opportunity to get to learn from them and do real work that contributes to their work. And as a summary to show what you've done and demonstrate all of the work that you've done over the summer, all interns present at our symposium in August. And so that will be virtual this year so that we can have everyone presenting from different locations, but it will be, yeah, the whole ACE program, no matter what organization you're at, everyone will present to each other. All right. Oh, and this picture is actually of an intern, Diego, at HP. Okay. So for eligibility to apply, anyone who is currently in 9th through 11th grade, who is interested in a STEM field, and right now we are limited by where you live if you're going to do an in-person internship. We do have a very limited number of completely virtual internships, which are open to anyone, regardless of where you live in the US. But for the most part, you're going to be looking at the ones that are in your geographic area. We technically do have a 50-mile rule. We won't give anyone a position that is 50 miles away from their residence, or more than 50 miles. And this photo is of Sydney, who interned at Oregon Health and Science University in 2018. And Sydney shared that it was very rewarding to take such an abstract subject that she had learned about in school, and then actually work on a behavioral study from start to finish. So she was in a behavioral research lab. All right. So the time commitment is important to consider when you're deciding whether to apply. We have some fairly specific event requirements in that you have to attend these 3 events: the orientation, which is in late May, the Midsummer Conference, which is July 14th this year, and the symposium, which is August 11th. So those are required for everyone. And there are, besides that, you should work with your mentor for 296 work hours. So that comes out to, total about 8 weeks of full-time work, 40 hours per week. There is a 10-week window within which you can complete those hours. And so usually that's arranged between the mentor and the intern. And we have on our website a calendar calculator, which I will show you a little bit later when I show you the application guide. But that helps you figure out if you have enough time in your calendar to complete the 296 hours. As far as the starting date, it depends on when your school gets out of session. It should be either June 13th or June 20th, I think. And the internships should all be completed by August 20th. So that's a 2-month window pretty much to meet these requirements. So if you do have any commitments that you already know of in your summer, you can actually tell the mentors about those commitments. I'll get to a little bit later, but part of your application is a cover letter. And so those sorts of details about your schedule should probably go into your cover letter, because we do want to make sure that you have enough time to complete the program. Another thing to know is that we don't provide any transportation or lodging. So again, this is why it's important that you live near where the positions that you're applying to, because you're going to have to commute on your own. All right. So what else do we offer as a program? Well, first of all, we really like to do whatever we can to help everyone write a successful application. And so this means we offer workshops such as cover letter and interview skills. We also have staff on hand to answer questions, about the application process and also during the program to help smooth out any wrinkles that come up. We have teachers that we hire as teacher monitors for the program, and they conduct site visits in the beginning of the program and at the end of the summer to check in on everyone's internship. Even if it's virtual, they'll do a virtual visit. And you'll have their contact information as well. So if you need anyone to help you with something and you don't feel comfortable talking to your mentor, you'll have the teacher or us, ASE staff, who can help you. So the orientation and the conferences, besides being required, they're actually really cool too. So the orientation is going to be fun. It's a way to get, everyone to get to know each other, get on the same page about how the summer is going to go, and hopefully make some connections with people that you'll carry on throughout the summer and beyond. And at the conferences, you'll see each other again. And the Midsummer Conference is, we plan a lot of cool different programs so that you can learn more about different science fields. We get speakers, we do workshops, and there's hopefully we'll have a social event as well. And then again, the symposium at the end is where everyone shares what they've done all summer. So that's a really good learning experience about how to give a scientific presentation, or if you might be working with another intern or your mentor to make that presentation, and it'll be like we'll run it like a real professional conference. And then, of course, there is the stipend. So everyone gets a $1,000 stipend for the summer to cover expenses. And there are some internships that pay more as a wage. So for example, I think this year HP is the one organization that they pay a wage separately, which ends up being a higher pay than the $1,000 over the summer. So that's I think worth knowing as you're deciding what to apply to. But all of that that information is in the position descriptions as well. All right, let me give you a little note about the COVID situation. Obviously, things are changing month to month, week to week, but now that we have a pretty good system in place for keeping everyone safe, a lot of the positions will be hybrid or in person. And so OSU has their own plan in place so that research can be done on campus, and all of the information about whether or not something will be virtual or in person can be found in a position description. And for any in-person activities, you'll review and discuss with the mentor specifically what their communicable disease plan is. And all interns do sign a waiver just to release, for liability reasons, because we do provide liability insurance as well for the program. All right. So another great reason to do an ACE internship is that you can get high school credit for completing it. And so you do want to check with your high school. Actually, do we have Lisa? I think we have Lisa in the room from CHS. If you're listening, do you want to pipe in about the high school credit?
Sure. I'm on my exercise bike, so
great.
But yes, at least I know for sure that CHS offers a 1.0 science or engineering internship credit.
Great, that's awesome. So beyond getting some school credit, it also, of course, looks really good on college applications, and it opens doors for other opportunities. So you're going to be getting to know a mentor and the people they work with. It'll be a good way to network in that community, and you could end up getting other jobs down the line from that, from your internship. And on top of that, when it comes time to applying for college or for other jobs, you'll have a great reference. Many mentors are willing to write glowing recommendations for their interns. And this photo is showing Justine with her mentor, Dr. John Lepore, who is at Portland State University. They do a robotics research there. All right. So I'll tell you more about the application itself now. The deadline is March 4th, and that is a very strict deadline. So the most important thing is to make sure all of your materials are submitted online before that day. The materials that I'm talking about include your basic contact information, which you will enter when you start the application, your transcript, your recommendations from 2 different adults, and they can't be related to you, your cover letter or more than one cover letter, which I will explain later. And then you'll have to browse the positions and choose the top 3 that you are most interested in applying to. So a little bit about each of these components. The transcript, it's okay if it's unofficial. I mean, we prefer an official transcript, but really the information that we absolutely need are your school info. So for example, this is showing the Crescent Valley High School address and the counselor name. It needs to have your name and your academic history. So what classes you've taken and what grades you got in those classes since you've started high school. So depending on how long you've been in high school, your transcript will be longer or shorter. All right. And then when it comes to requesting recommendations, it is a good idea to get those requests out soon, because you want to have them to put the deadline on their calendar and give your recommenders a chance to ask you questions about the positions you're applying for, just to get, a little bit more, so they can make it a little more personal about what skills you have, and it could be really anyone who just knows you well as a learner, someone who can speak to your ability to learn, to do work, to complete tasks, to think, to be creative. Really just, it doesn't have to just be science or engineering or that type of thing. We're looking, more broadly at work skills is useful. And also to your character as well, because everyone wants to work with someone that is well liked, and so that can be part of it. It is good to have at least one of your recommenders to be a science, math, tech, or engineering teacher if you do feel like you have a teacher who knows you well enough, or a counselor who has been following your academic progress. But it's okay if you don't have a teacher, if maybe you don't feel that you know your teachers well enough. If you have maybe a coach or a group leader from an organization outside of school or a club, any of those work as well. All right, now the cover letter is probably the most important part of your application, because this is where you are selling yourself to the mentors who are reading your cover letter. This is where you're going to share why you're applying to the program, why you would be a good intern, and how an internship would impact your life, why this is important to you. And we do offer help with cover letter writing. As I mentioned before, we have some cover letter workshops coming up that you can register for on our website. The cover letter is really the place where you can show what experience you already have in the field that you're interested in working in. So for example, if you're interested in medical science, you could mention what science classes you've taken and if you've done any volunteer work, or if you have a personal connection to someone in the medical field who's inspired you, or who has, fallen ill and you felt inspired by their journey with the health system. Things like that are great to include in a cover letter. And then, since we don't ask for a resume, this is also a place you'll want to make sure you include the skills that you have that match the position descriptions of what you're applying to. But there's a caveat to that, which I will get to in a second. So let me just check my notes, see if I want to say anything else about this. If you feel like you don't yet have maybe like the hard skills for this position, like say you haven't actually worked in a science lab before, right? You don't know how to do those things. That's fine. The point is to learn in the internship. But some things, there are skills like being able to work really hard at a certain task, or being able to read instructions and understand what you should do. Things like that, which apply more broadly and that you probably do have experience in. Okay, so, and then one tip about writing cover letters is, although when you open the application, there'll be a form online where you can type it in, it's actually way better if you write your cover letter in a word processor separately so that you have a copy of it saved. And this is good for many reasons. One, you might want to reuse this draft in another application in the future. Two, there is sometimes a glitch on the internet where you're writing and then it doesn't get saved, right? And so you wouldn't want that to happen and have to start over. So it's better to have your own copy saved on your computer. And then once it's done, copy and paste it into the application. So, and then this photo, this is pretty cool, is actually from HP Corvallis, an intern who worked there last year, Erin Lee. Right. So more about the cover letter, and there's a lot of information about this on our website. So I won't, I would definitely say, as you're writing your cover letter, we actually have a cover letter writing guide on the website that will help you. But I need to emphasize the fact that there are two types of cover letter, and everyone has to write a general cover letter. And it shouldn't be about any specific position. Your cover letter should really be more about your general skills and interests for the disciplines that you're interested in. However, you have the option of writing cover letters for the positions themselves that you're applying to. And you still have to write the general one, but you can, in addition, write a position-specific letter or multiple of these letters where you address it to the actual mentor that is hosting that position, and you would speak a little bit more specifically about that position based on the description that is on our website. So yeah, that one is optional, but it does help to give it that personal touch when the mentors are reading the applications. But regardless, the reason everyone has to write a general letter, even if you're also going to write position-specific letters, is because we sometimes add positions to late. And so they might not have gotten any applicants, and we might say, oh, this student is a really good fit for this position, and we need to be able to send their cover letter over. And so it needs to be more general, right? Because you wouldn't have written it for that specific position. And we would always email you first to check before we do that, but it's in your best interest to have us be able to do that. So we require it just to make it easier for everyone. We require that everyone have a general cover letter for that. All right. So I will show you the application process. And I'm just putting up on the slide too, as these are the step-by-step directions to actually start your application. So I will actually just show you what it looks like. So if I really want to apply for this tree biotechnology internship, first I'd have to make sure, okay, yes, I am 16 or older, so that's fine. Let's see more details about this. So I'd read the description, you say, oh, this sounds really cool. And then I would add it to my locker. So it turns out I've been playing around on the website all day. So I already added this one to my locker. I can show you what it looks like if you haven't added it to your locker. How about this one here? Okay, so if I want to add this one, there should be this button here, add internship to locker. And then I'm going to go to my locker, and you can see that I've added 3 different positions. You only have to add 1 as a minimum. You can apply to 3 as a maximum. You can have more than 3 in your locker as options to keep, until the time when you are actually filling out your application and submitting it. You could save the ones that you're interested in and then just wait until the application to actually choose the 3 that you're going to apply to. But once you are ready to start your application, which you can do at any point, you don't even really have to have decided yet which positions you're applying to. It will bring you to this page. If you've applied in the past, to ASE specifically, then you could log in and it should bring up your information from last time. If you haven't applied yet, you'll just enter all of this information. Here is where we ask you to select the disciplines you're interested in, like what you're thinking of, what you're interested in and what you might major in. And this is how we decide who might be a good fit for the positions that get added late. So it is important to put all of this, to check as many as you might possibly be interested in, because it'll improve your chances of having your application sent out to more positions. All right, and then so I'm not going to enter anything, but this is just how it gets started. Once you've entered this and saved your email and your password, you'll be able to log in and make changes up until the point where you submit. And so it'll walk you through selecting internships, putting your cover letter in. You can skip. It's actually a good idea to do the recommendation part early, right? Like I was saying before. So at any time you can enter the email address of your recommenders and they will get an email and can submit the recommendation on their own time. So you don't have to have submitted your application yet for that to happen. All right. So another thing, I just want to show you again some of the other information that's available on the website. So the best place to start usually is this Be an Intern tab. So I'm going to go back to that. And here, so earlier I showed you where you can browse internships, but now I want to show you the application guide. So this walks you through the process of starting your application. And it also links to the cover letter writing guide that I mentioned earlier and the interview skills guide. So not every mentor will do interviews. This is optional for the mentors. And so it's something that you should be prepared for, but it might not happen. That's just the way that the system works. But you will in your life at some point have to do an interview. So it's always good to review best practices for doing an interview. So definitely recommend checking that out. I do see a question in the chat, which I'll answer now since it's very relevant. So Thomas asked, you've mentioned that the minimum number of recommendations is 2. Is there a maximum? So you can enter more than 2 different people, but we'll only accept the first 2 that get submitted. So we only look at 2 recommendations, or when we make sure that the application is complete, we'll just load the first 2 and that's all. So you're welcome to add more people in case you're worried that someone might not do it. It could be good to have a backup recommender, but yeah, the application will only consist of the first 2 recommendations that get submitted for you. Oh, and yes, Lisa makes a very good point in the chat that you always want to ask your recommenders first before you just put them in. You should have confirmation that they are willing and available to write your recommendation, to fill out the recommendation form. Yeah, before you put their name and email address into our application. Very good point. All right, a little bit more about the application. There is an application fee, which we waive for students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch. And then there's a lot more information that you can find on this application specifics page. And it will, basically the steps that I just walked you through are all listed here. And then we also have this other page here with some info about what the internship is like. So if you just want to learn more about the program, if your parents are interested in learning about what role they can play, we have a section on that. We have more about the time requirement and all of the dates that you should be aware of. So yes, this is here for your information as well. Okay, so I showed you that. And then when it comes to getting started, just, put the deadline in your calendar, get in touch with your recommenders and ask that they, are willing to recommend you. And then it's actually really recommended that you get your cover letter draft written and send that to your recommenders as well, so that they feel they have a little bit more to go off of about your interest in the program. We do recommend that you write position-specific cover letters, even though that's not required. Again, it's only required that you write one general letter, but doing these additional cover letters does help, I think, help you stand out to the mentor when they're reading the cover letters. It will, when you write a position-specific cover letter, it then replaces the general cover letter. So you do want to make sure it has the same general information, but then just a little bit more about the specifics. And again, we do recommend that you ask for help with the application. That could mean emailing me. It could mean asking teachers for help, or other adults in your life, to read through your cover letter, give you feedback. Or you could attend one of our workshops again. So those you can register for on our website. And yeah, if any questions come up while you're working on it, we're happy to answer them. Don't feel shy about reaching out to me or to the ACE program in general. So I'll end with our program email address up. And just don't forget that we do have that application guide online. So maybe go there first with your questions and then see if you still can't figure out the answer. Send us an email. Oh yes, I just got a question in the message asking, where's the calendar calculator on the website? I will show you that. So, oops, sorry for the scrolling. I know that's annoying when I'm sharing a screen. Let's go back to the application. Ooh, wait, okay, I think it's in the eligibility section. Let me just Oh yes, here we go. How much time does an internship take? So here it's linked, the calendar calculator. And you have to make a copy of it, which then gets saved to your Google, that it gets opened in Google Sheets. So if you have a Google Sheets account, you can save it to your own Google. So this link brings you here and it makes a copy so you can do your own edits without it affecting our copy. But yeah, so this helps you. You can put in what number of hours that you are available to work each day, and it will total up. Ooh, sorry. It shows you the total of the hours at the bottom here. All right. So I believe that I have pretty much covered everything. I showed you that page. We do have this link to join our mailing list. And so I'll post this in the chat as well. If you sign up here, you'll get updates about what positions have been added recently and reminders about the workshops and the application deadline. So we'd love to have you on the mailing list. So please do join if you haven't yet. And with that, I will take any lingering questions about the program or the application process, really anything. And let's have them. I think it'll be easiest if you put them in the chat and then I can go through them one by one. No questions? What? Amazing. I did that good of a job. Well, you can always, again, email me. I'll put my personal, here, it's still in the chat. You can see if you scroll up my email address, or you can contact ACE at Saturday Academy. But yeah, I'll wait around. No more questions. That's it. Wow, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. All right. Well then, thank you all for coming. And I'm excited to see all of your, oh, you know what I didn't, okay, wait, I have a question. I have something to tell you that normally does get asked. And since no one asked it, I'm just gonna ask it for you. So how does the how does the selection process happen, right? Like once you get your application in, what happens next? And so that is a process where we will look at the internships. You'll have ranked the internships you want in first, second, and third. And then we'll send your application to those 3 positions, the mentors of them. And then the mentors will review all the applications they get, and they'll make a list ranking the applications. And so then it just becomes a factor of matching what you want and what the mentor wants, and making sure that prioritizing both of those preferences. And so it is not everyone will get an internship, but we really try our best to match based on people's preferences. Yeah. Okay, now any questions? If not, feel free to head out, and yeah, you can just email me. Glad you all were able to make it tonight, and look forward to reading your applications, or seeing them come in at least. I don't really get to decide what happens, so might not read them all. And then, oh, I did get one more question. Is it only one intern per mentor? It actually depends. Some mentors might end up choosing multiple interns, but most of them are just for one. Some of them are for 2, 3. I think there might be a few that are even for 4. But we can't really guarantee that they actually will end up taking on that, that many people. And so we kind of just, we leave that a little bit open-ended for now. And I just got another question. When are students usually notified of being selected? That happens in early to mid-May. So then by then you'll know, your summer plans should be more firmed up, and you can, make sure that you actually really do have the time available to commit before you sign your internship contract. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. But again, reach out by email if anything else comes up. And have a good night, everyone.